Ben Elisha is known in the golf world as a masterful storyteller. And now we're going to tell his story, a little reversal of roles here, and learn more about him on the Onto Something podcast. I'm Bryan Fenley with Fox Sports Radio, also a broadcaster of golf and Olympic sports. And we're going to have some fun here, Ben. I appreciate you doing this first and foremost.
Yes, thanks for having me. Yeah, this is one of my first ever interviews. I've been in the business for a while, but no one's ever actually asked me to tell my story. So this is kind of cool. Thank you.
It's an interesting dynamic, one in which you're used to, like you said, being on the other side of this, planning and setting up the interviews. But now we're going to learn about you, not just from a professional standpoint, but learn more about you from a personal level, a deep level. We'll get that all-encompassing look at it as to who Ben really is. And I guess I wanted to start here. And a question you probably didn't think I'd start with, and that was, how did you handle yourself in a cage with a tiger?
um, yeah, so they start you off small with some little cubs and whatnot. Let's see, that would have been that was December 2016. So my wife and I, we went on vacation to Thailand, and she saw that that's something that they had an opportunity that you could do, and we wanted to try it. So they say that they treat the animals well, they don't drug them or anything, and they all seem to be very, very kind. There were trainers there, and they're nearby, but they let you hang with the tigers. I actually got a picture of one. So here, this is one of
Look at that.
this is one of the bigger tigers. So this is the one that they work your way up to. That's me holding its tail there. Anyway, you start with the small ones and then you work your way up. So you develop a little bit of courage as you go. It was cool. Like, when else are you going to be able to be in a cage with the tiger? So I thought I would go all out and and be immersed in it. Yeah, it was very cool.
How was your wife handling that moment?
She was very afraid. Yeah, yeah. She would stand behind me, or the trainer would say, "No, no, grab its tail, give him a pet," and she's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that."
There certainly was courage in being around a tiger. You've shown courage through the course of your career, and I want to touch on that as well. When it comes to having that family support in the business, it's priceless to have people behind you and backing you, your wife and beyond. Where would you be on this journey of yours as a sports producer and working in television at Golf Channel, PGA Tour Entertainment, without those who pushed you and those who believe in you?
Yeah. So I've done a lot of traveling this year, and I'm away from my family a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a different role for me because I used to mainly go into the studio. I'd go there 5 days a week, and I'd come back and then be off on weekends, whatever my scheduled off days were. And I would always be around my family. And it was kind of the other way around. My wife would travel a lot. She used to be a feature producer, and then she was a talent booking producer. She would go and coordinate with player interviews and whatnot. So she would be the one traveling. Now the roles are switched since COVID. She's working from home more, and she's kind of settled into that role. She no longer needs to go into the office for the most part. So yeah, I'm the one traveling, and it's very different. So when I come home after being gone for a week or 2 weeks, the best part is when you see your kids. I have two daughters, a 6-year-old, 3-year-old. If I go to daycare and I pick them up, smile on their face, they drop whatever they're doing, they say "Daddy," and they come running to you. That's the best part. Are those 30 seconds that you get that. Now 5 minutes later, they want to play with their tablet and whatnot, but that first 30 seconds when they see you for the first time in a long time, that's the best part. So if I didn't have family, I would probably be on the road a lot, because there wouldn't be anything to really want to come home for. So what would be the difference? You're going from hotel to hotel. Why not? If you're out there single, but to be able to come home and know that you have someone there, wife included, of course, who's waiting for you to come home, that's one of the best parts of it.
And there it is, the why behind what you do, and sort of tapping into what powers you, what motivates you in this business. Ben Elisha is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. What about being a father came as a surprise to you?
I think what came as a surprise to me would be how your children really, like, you're all they have. They come to you for answers. Last night, daughter and I were watching TV. She likes to watch some nature shows. So we were watching a show about the sun. And then she asked me some deep questions like, who were the first people on Earth? How did that happen? How did Earth get founded? Um, how did dinosaurs come about? Like all these like really deep questions. She's a 6-year-old. I don't have all the answers for that. Uh, and then there's a 3-year-old who's not, there yet. She's just kind of learning to talk. She's in those stages, but she depends on you to clothe her, feed her, change her, and all that. So I think that's something that you kind of know about when you're going to have children. Like, I'm going to have to be responsible, but it's the little things that once it actually, you're the one that has to do it. It's something that even knowing that you have to do it, it's just a different element when you actually are physically in that spot and you do it.
It's interesting to hear how asking questions is a part of your child, and you're watching your television show, and that seems to be a lot of what you do. I mean, when you're interviewing, you're asking questions, you're trying to go deep with these questions, and to think about the quirks and the mannerisms that your kids have picked up even subtly within you. What are they? Where do you see yourself reflected in your kids, even on a subconscious level, where they do things you're like, they definitely got that from me?
Yeah. You have to kind of watch what you say. um, Kids will pick up on a lot of things. So I try not to use profanity around the house. I think there was one time something slipped out, and then my child repeated it. She didn't know what it meant, but she repeated it. So yes, you kind of have to be careful there. And then it's driving is a good example, right? Try not to get frustrated when you're driving and your kid's in the car. Today, again, we were driving to daycare, and there's a bunch of cars at the light. And my daughter in the back's like, come on, let's go. So I must do that. Like, why else would she care that there's 10 cars behind a light? So she must see me do that. And then she replicates it. So they pick up on things, and you get little reminders like that you need to be careful what you do around them, because you influence them all the time.
Obviously, you've changed since being a dad. How about how you've changed since meeting your wife?
Uh, um, if I didn't have my wife, I would. I don't know how I would still be here. She definitely takes care of me. Takes care of the house. She does everything. She basically takes care of me in addition to the kids. So without her, I would probably be overweight. I wouldn't eat as healthy. She cooks all this great food, health conscious. I try to stay fit for her. I definitely wouldn't be able to have a nice house, have nice things. 2 incomes definitely helps. She's doing well for herself. She's also works for Golf Channel, so she's had a great career as well. So yeah, without her, I would definitely be in a different spot.
When did you know that she was the one?
So it was early on. We just started kind of becoming friends in the beginning. She worked for Golf Channel. We worked together. But then I think the first time is when we ended up playing golf together. So we got joined in a year-end Golf Channel scramble. We randomly got paired together. She's a pretty good golfer. I obviously like golf, working at Golf Channel. And just being in the same cart with her, seeing her personality, I think that's when it kind of clicked that there might be something there. And then there happened to be a Golf Channel year-end party that was at Bay Hill, and she lived just down the street from me. So I'm like, hey, why don't we go together, And just as friends, I'll pick you up, I'll take my car, ride back together. So again, we went as friends, but I could tell that there was something more there, and it kind of developed from that point on. So over the next couple of weeks, one thing led to another, and then we ended up dating. It was a little secretive at first, because we did work together. We didn't want everyone knowing about it. But yeah, it was great. Never looked back since then. That would have been 2010. I believe it was about 2010. I hope I'm not wrong. I am. I'm sure so correct.
I was going to say, I'm sure she'll watch this. And if you make any little mistake about any of the timeline, she is going to make you remember that and set you straight. Ben Elisha is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. Who is the best former non PGA Tour player, golfer at Golf Channel?
Oh man. I'm talking employees that never played professionally.
Yeah. Any employee who wasn't on the tour.
Okay. Ben Don, who still works for Golf Channel. He won a national championship with Rollins. Great player. Andrew Bradley, who's a field producer for Golf Channel, also a great player. Ari Marcus, young guy, works for Golf Channel. He's also a great player. Those would best say would be your top three. If you're in again that Golf Channel year-end scramble, you want to be paired with one of those guys because they're good. They're scratch players. Whenever you get grouped with them, that you're going to be in a good group.
What would I learn about you if I was paired with you in one of those scrambles?
Oh man, if you were paired with me, I don't have a good short game, so thankfully it's a scramble. Hopefully you have a good short game, Bryan. you could get us up and down if we miss the green. No, overall, I am like I am at work. I'm pretty calm, where I won't be the one throwing a club or being frustrated. I'll be the one supporting the team and hopefully cheering everybody on. I think personality also translates to the golf course. I think that's why a lot of business is done on golf courses, because you see the way people react. And it helps to be around people for 3 or 4 hours to get to know people. I think that's one of the nice things about golf.
What's the highest achievement you've ever had on a single golf hole?
No holes in one, if that's what you mean. No, but I think one of the best memories I've had on the golf course would have been when I played in a member guest with my father down in Fort Myers, which is where he still lives there. And we did pretty well. I think we got to the shootout stage, which would be the end where they're starting to eliminate those teams. And we got to the 17th hole, and I think I hit the tee shot. I think I went into the green side bunker. It was a par 3. And we had this tough up and down. I think we're up against a lip, and he hit it out. I think I had to make like a 30-footer, just missed it. But it was still great. We came so close. And that's like, I felt a lot of pressure, and, it's just a member guest. It's nothing, but I felt a lot of pressure. I think it's because I was with my dad there. I wanted to make sure that I looked good in front of him, and that I tried to win really hard for him. That was a great member guest.
Well, let's take that beyond the golf course. The pressure maybe that you feel from your dad to make it, to thrive, to succeed outside of the golf course. How do you gauge that?
Yeah, so he's been in golf his whole life too. He's played golf, nothing more than that, nothing in TV or professionally or anything like that. But that's how I began my passion for golf, was because I wanted to be around him. So it was right around middle school. That's when I started to develop an interest in it. And then I ended up playing on the high school team. I didn't play for the college team or anything, but I kept playing golf. So when I got the opportunity to be an intern at Golf Channel, that's how I started back in 2003. I was very excited to be able to tell him that I got that. And I know he was proud of me because I was able to get it on my own. It wasn't like he helped make a call or anything. I was able to do it on my own. So I know he's very proud of that. And then since then, I've obviously gone on to do some other things with PGA Tour. I've worked my way up with Golf Channel prior to that. So we still talk all the time about that. He always likes to get the gossip, kind of the inside info, what's going on, either at Golf Channel or the PGA Tour, or he wants to hear about the different hosts, Rich Lerner or Brandel. He wants to know all about those guys. So it's pretty cool. He's a big fan of golf and of the personalities in general.
He's a big fan of you. So
Yeah.
am I. So is Golf Channel. So is
Sure.
PGA Tour Entertainment. Ben Elisha is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. a lot of golf is muscle memory. And so when you think about what you do in the field, in the broadcasting sector of golf, how much has it become muscle memory, and in what areas do you find that being the case?
Yeah, so it can be, and I think that's something when you have done a lot of shows, talking about like a post game show, which is what I mainly did there towards the end of my run at Golf Channel, would be you could go in and you could plug in highlight, leaderboard, sound from the leader stat, talk leader. Those could be your slugs in the rundown, and that could be muscle memory, but you almost don't want to do that because you don't want it to just be a formula. So I think that's something that's challenging, is when you have tournaments every week, to try not to do the same thing. And I think that's when you rely on your team a lot. So it could be an intern, it could be a PA, AP, doesn't matter. Everyone has ideas. So just because you're the producer and you're building out the rundown doesn't mean that you have the final say. You're not, everyone has an input in it. And you rely on your analysts and your hosts a lot too. Ultimately, they're the ones that are in front of the camera. They're the ones that are going to be saying the information. So if they're bought in on the topic, then the show's going to be better because they believe in it, and they can really get out there what you want to say and what they want to say. So I think you should try not to be have too much like muscle memory, like you're saying, where you just kind of plug in the same thing. I think you should try to maybe start there, and then you can build around there.
I think that's well said. You get the foundation, but then you also have to have the creativity that comes, which is not necessarily muscle memory, and the idea of challenging yourself. And then as you think about all the people you work with on a broadcast, from interns to those in front of the screen and everybody also involved, for you, Ben, how do you unify people? What is your strategy to sort of bring people together and working together on projects?
Yeah. One thing that I like to do would be not to always put people in the same role. So you may have someone who's really strong in graphics, and they know that they're going to go in and do graphics, but maybe they want to try to do something else. And maybe other producers are afraid to give them that chance to cut a highlight from the PGA Tour, or put together a package or a feature. And I think when you give people the opportunities to show that they can do other things, then I think that they respect that and they become more well-rounded, which helps. When I first started, I was an intern, so I shadowed a lot of people, and then I eventually got the opportunity to do a lot of different things. And I think if you can become a strong utility player, the producer, for example, can plug you into any role. You could be the font coordinator that day, or you could cut a highlight that day, or put together an essay. Then I think that makes the whole team stronger. And I think if everyone can see that, this person can do everything, this person can do everything, then I think that really brings everyone together.
Oh, you are such a strong proponent of incentivizing, and like you said, empowering others is something that you do, your colleagues do, and it shows on the broadcast, the little things, and you can see people working together and that cohesion and how that lends itself to an even better broadcast. You brought up the fact that you'll do essays, and storytelling obviously is such an important part of a golf broadcast and in broadcasting in general. What is your mindset into when you best want to embed stories into live on-course coverage of play, when you pick and choose your spots to include that?
NBC took over, or NBC was acquired by Comcast, I should say, in February 2011. And then when the executives and managers from NBC kind of took over with Golf Channel, they really emphasized storytelling. That's something that's NBC's been known for through their Olympic coverage, football coverage, basketball. Think about it, it's all stories. So that's kind of what they do. And they kind of sold us on why that's important. So I think that that's something that I've also tried to do. And I'll give you an example. In a broadcast earlier this year for the PGA Tour Live, um, I was supposed to follow Ryan Moore. Ryan Moore was one of our featured players in one of our groups. So Ryan Moore's had a brilliant amateur career, won the U.S. Amateur, Public Links, won the NCAA Individual Championship, but he's fallen on some hard times. He's had some injuries. This year he's been trying to overcome a back injury, so he had a major medical extension. So he had a few events where he had to earn enough FedEx Cup points to maintain his card. So if you didn't know that, if you didn't do your research on him, you might just think, all right, here's just the guy that I'm covering for today. But what I wanted to do that day was explain all that. So we explained about how brilliant of an amateur career he had, what he's done since then professionally as well. He also clinched the Ryder Cup in 2016 for the US. So he's had a brilliant professional career as well as amateur career. But like I said, now he may lose his card. He may not be able to play on the PGA Tour anymore. So that was something that we illustrated. We did it graphically. We had some video showing how he's done as an amateur and professional. So if someone were to watch that and not know who Ryan Moore is, but they were to see that, then maybe now they've given a reason to cheer for him or to want to watch the rest of the broadcast to see how he would do. So that's just a small example where it only takes a minute, but you're telling a story, trying to connect with the viewer at home of why you should care. And I think that's ultimately why storytelling is very important. So it doesn't need to be a 3-minute feature or a 5-minute feature. It could be just something simple, just give people a reason to care.
As we wrap up this conversation, Ben, the way in which you were talking about how you unearth stories in regards to players for people to really understand their backstory, to gain more of an appreciation for them, to cheer for them. That's sort of what we're doing here because, yeah, golfers have stories, but those who work in golf have stories. You're not just a worker at Golf Channel and PGA Tour Entertainment. You're a father, you're a husband, and you're a man who doesn't seem to be daunted into going into a cage with a tiger. And so all of these things, so that when people watch golf broadcasts, to know the why behind why you're doing what you're doing, what's powering you, and how it all got started, and to learn about you from a deeper level, gains in that respect that people should have for you, as it does when you tell the story there of a golfer like Ryan Moore, who has gone through his own adversity. Ben Elisha, I'm Bryan Fenley. How fun was this? I really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was good.